Once upon a time, in a small house there lived a young married couple. They were a very happy couple and were expecting a baby.
I know it's important for our baby to be healthy, but I do hope we have a daughter, my love.
Yes, I would love to have a daughter too. God willing, we'll have a daughter that will look like you.
The day of the birth was getting closer, and the young mother excitedly awaited the birth of her baby. Every day the mother would look out the window and over the high wall and admire her neighbour's garden filled with flowers and fruits. One day she noticed a yellow-leaf plant that she had never seen before.
I wonder what the name of that plant is. It smells wonderful. I'm sure it tastes amazing too. I have to eat that plant. I will go straight to my neighbor and ask her.
Without wasting any time, the young mother left the house. But she had no idea that her next-door neighbor was a cruel witch. She knocked on the door, unaware of the danger that awaited her.
Ooh. Hello, neighbor. The yellow plant in your garden smells amazing. I'm pregnant and really craving for it. Is it an edible plant?
Of course. I can give you a little. It tastes incredible and it's really good for humans.
Then it'll be good for my baby too.
Of course, dear neighbour. Especially for expecting mothers. But remember, because it's so valuable, you may only take one.
Everything is going just as I planned.
The young woman finished eating the piece she had taken as soon as she got home, but she wanted to eat more.
Bring me more. If I don't eat it, I can't have this baby.
Don't worry. I'll do everything I can to bring you more of that yellow plant.
As night fell and it got dark, the helpless husband climbed over the tall wall and took the plant that his wife wanted. This went on for some time. Every night, the young man secretly entered the garden, but he was uneasy about entering his neighbour's garden without permission. The bad witch had actually grown this plant to set up a trap to them. She knew that her neighbour was expecting a baby and that she would definitely crave for this with its smell. She had her eye on the baby for a long time. She was going to take the baby one way or another. One evening, as the man entered the garden again, the witch caught him red-handed. She now had the appearance of a witch. She was very ugly and was extremely scary-looking. The poor man was frightened.
Please forgive me. My wife is pregnant and she can't stop eating this plant. I was forced to do this because you said she could only take one. I know this is wrong, but if she doesn't eat it, I'm afraid that my wife will die. I'm in a very tough situation.
I'll accept your apology only with one condition. You must give me the baby that is to be born. If not, I'll destroy all of you.
The man had to accept this condition. When the time of the birth arrived, a beautiful baby girl was born. The witch went to their house immediately.
Her name shall be Rapunzel. You shall raise her until she turns 1. In exactly 1 year, I will come and take her from you.
The helpless couple accepted. When Rapunzel turned 1, the witch came and took the crying baby away from her mother and father and locked up the baby in a tower in the middle of the forest. She was going to raise the baby there. Many years passed. Rapunzel was now a beautiful young girl. As she had never cut her hair, it was several meters long. Her hair was golden blonde. She had deep green eyes. Whenever the witch went to the tower, she would call out to her.
My dear blonde-haired girl, I'm here. Let your hair down.
Rapunzel would throw her long braid down, and the witch would climb up to the tower using her hair. Rapunzel thought that the witch was her mother. As she had never seen anyone else other than the witch until now, Rapunzel thought that she and her mother were the only ones in this world. She had a wonderful voice. She sang all day long until nightfall. Her voice echoed across the forest, and all the birds would fly to the window to listen to her. Birds were her only friends. One day, a prince was wandering around the forest. When he heard Rapunzel singing, he wondered where this marvelous sound was coming from. As he followed the direction of the sound, he approached the tower and realized the voice was coming from there.
I must meet the girl with this amazing voice. I wonder how I can go up this tower.
As he desperately walked round and round the tower, he suddenly saw a witch calling to the top of the tower. He hid behind a tree at once and watched.
My dear blonde-haired girl, I'm here. Let your hair down.
Rapunzel let down her braided hair, and the witch climbed up to the tower.
I found how to go up the tower.
Having waited for the witch to leave, the prince now called out to the tower, impersonating the voice of the witch.
My girl, please let down your beautiful blonde hair again. I forgot something up there.
I'm letting it down right away, Mother.
With one swift move, she let down her hair again. The prince climbed up the tower using her hair and met Rapunzel. It was the first time in her life that the beautiful girl was seeing another person.
Ah! Who are you? Why are you here? Where is my mother?
There's no need to be afraid. I'm the prince of this country. Your wonderful voice brought me here. To come up here, I had to impersonate your mother's voice.
Rapunzel, who at first was very frightened, slowly realized that he wasn't a bad person. The prince was already charmed by her beauty. Days and months passed by. The prince was coming to the tower every day. When they spent time together, they didn't realize how fast the time passed. Then, he finally proposed to Rapunzel.
Rapunzel, I want to live with you for the rest of my life. Will you marry me?
Of course I'll marry you.
I must now return to the palace.
I will try and find a solution to get you out of here at once.
Rapunzel was very excited that she would finally see the outside world once she married the prince. She was so bored of living alone in the tower for all those years. He held Rapunzel's hair and headed down the tower. Unfortunately, the witch was there too and saw the prince. She immediately understood what was going on. She raged with anger. As Rapunzel was pulling her hair back up again, the witch held onto it and climbed up. She was so annoyed and furious.
What's going on? Who's that just left? I've been hiding you up here to protect you from evil, but you've been talking to strangers and making friends with them.
He's the prince of this country. He asked for my hand in marriage, and I accepted. I'm so happy, Mother. I was waiting for you to come and tell you all about it.
What? What nonsense is this? I'll show you.
The witch was so angry that with a pair of scissors she cut Rapunzel's long hair short as can be. And with her magic, she then sent her to a very faraway country. When the prince arrived at the tower the next day, he had no idea that the witch was waiting for him in the tower.
Hi, Rapunzel. I'm here. Let down your hair, please.
The witch let down the long braid that she had cut from Rapunzel's hair. When the prince reached the window of the tower, the witch was there to meet him. He was terrified the moment he saw her.
What a surprise, huh? You thought you were going to be able to take my girl away who I've hidden for years?
As the witch let go of the braid, the terrified prince found himself on the floor. He fell on top of the bushes, but since he hit his head, he was blinded. Rapunzel was ever present in the prince's mind. So mounted on his horse, he searched for her everywhere. He swore that even if he had to go to the end of the world, he would find her. He searched and searched and searched for a very long time. Finally, one day, he heard a song. The voice was familiar to him.
This is Rapunzel's voice. I finally found her.
Galloping on his horse, he headed straight towards the sweet voice. He came to the door of the house Rapunzel was staying in.
Rapunzel, I'm here. Open the door.
I can't believe it. Is it really you?
As Rapunzel opened the door, she cried when she saw the prince. She cried so much that her tears fell on the prince's face as he was kneeling. Her tears were miraculous, joyful tears. Suddenly, the blind prince opened his eyes. They hugged each other joyfully and celebrated this miracle. The prince was finally able to propose officially. They returned to the palace and started preparing for the wedding. Upon their return, Rapunzel and the prince looked for her real parents so they could share their news. They were incredibly happy to be reunited with their daughter after all these years. They had a beautiful wedding and they all lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a beautiful queen and a handsome king. The queen was not only beautiful, but she was kind and generous. Her people loved her dearly. She always helped people and wanted her country to always be in abundance. The queen always longed to have a daughter. One day, as she sat embroidering by the window, she daydreamed of her future daughter. In a daze, she accidentally pricked her finger with her embroidery needle. The blood from her finger dripped onto the white fabric she was embroidering. At that very moment, a shooting star crossed the sky. The queen made a wish.
Dear God, please send me a daughter. Let her be so beautiful that everyone admires her. Let her have pink cheeks, black hair like mine, her lips as red as this drop of blood, her eyes as bright as diamonds, and her skin as white as this very cloth. She should always smell like the flowers in my garden. Let her teeth be as white as the pearls on my neck.
A short time after that, her wish came true, and she shared the good news with the king and announced that they were expecting a baby.
My queen, wish what you will from me. I'll get you the most wonderful gift.
My health is not as good as it used to be. What I ask of you is to protect our child from all evil. Please promise me that you'll protect her. There's nothing more I wish for.
When the time came, the queen gave birth to a very beautiful girl. Just as she had wished for, her daughter had black hair, red lips, bright eyes, skin as white as snow, and smelled like flowers. They named her Snow White because of the whiteness of her skin. Soon after, the queen's health deteriorated and she passed away. The young king was very sad. While he mourned his beloved wife, he also tried to raise Snow White as best he could. When Snow White turned 5, a big ball was organised at the palace. The king was celebrating his daughter's birthday and also choosing a new queen. At the ball, there was a beautiful woman who had magical powers. She used these powers to dance with the king and cast a spell on him and married the king and became the queen. Snow White's stepmother was a very beautiful woman, but she was also vain, cruel, and evil. From the day she arrived at the palace, she despised Snow White. She saw her as her rival. The queen also had a magic mirror. She always consulted the mirror about the future and would ask,
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
My dear queen, it's you. You're the most beautiful woman in the world.
And so, time passed by. Snow White became a very beautiful young girl. Those who saw her could not look away. As she strolled in the palace gardens, the wind that brushed her hair would spread her flowery scent. Birds and butterflies would always follow her around. And her voice was so heavenly that when she sang, birds in the gardens would go silent and listen to her. One day, the queen asked her mirror,
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
My queen, you are very beautiful, but the most beautiful girl is Snow White.
The jealous and cruel queen got so angry that she hurled the bottle in her hand at the magical mirror.
How is that possible? No one's more beautiful than me. Summon the princess at once.
Meanwhile, she had locked up the king in the palace dungeon and told everyone that he was away working for his people. She also summoned the palace hunter and gave him strict orders.
I want you to kill Snow White and bring her heart to me as proof.
Snow White, who had no idea of her fate, came to see the evil queen.
Dear Snow White, you haven't been out for days. You must be bored inside the castle. I'd like you to bring me some strawberries from the forest. This way you'll be able to get some fresh air. You'll have a good time, don't worry. I'll send you my trustworthy hunter with you.
As the princess picked strawberries with the hunter, they got deep into the forest. The poor hunter was very sad.
How can I harm someone with such a good heart and such beauty? There must be another way.
The hunter couldn't bring himself to kill her. They sat under a tree and he told her about the queen's evil plan.
My princess, please go far away. If the queen finds out what I've done, she will kill both of us.
He immediately hunted an animal and brought its heart to the queen.
Aha!
The princess spent the night under that tree. She was so scared. At dawn, she went on her journey. After a long walk, she reached a small house and went inside. She looked around in amazement.
What is this place? Everything is so small and there's 7 of everything. 7 small chairs, 7 pairs of forks and spoons.
Since she was so hungry, she made soup with the ingredients she found in the house. She ate and went upstairs. And then she fell asleep in one of the small beds. At night, the house owners returning from the mine were actually the 7 dwarfs. Their names were Doc, Dopey, Happy, Grumpy, Sneezy, Bashful, and Sleepy.
Hey, what's this? It smells like delicious soup.
No! It's like someone entered the house.
Come! Look! There's a girl sleeping here!
The commotion woke up Snow White. She was scared when she first saw them. She then told them everything that happened to her.
My name is Snow White. I don't mean any harm. I don't have a place to go. That's why I took shelter here. Please, let me stay.
Of course, Princess. We are not going to let you stay alone in the forest, don't worry.
You are our first guest who makes such delicious soup.
Time passed by. Days and weeks. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs were laughing, having fun together, and living a peaceful life. Meanwhile, the evil queen, not knowing that Snow White was still alive, asked the mirror again.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
My queen, you're beautiful, but Snow White, who lives with the 7 dwarfs, is more beautiful.
Ah! How's this possible? The hunter must have lied to me. First, I will get rid of Snow White, and then I will teach the hunter a lesson.
She immediately worked on an evil plan. She poisoned an apple and disguised herself as an old woman to trick Snow White.
Hello? Anybody home? I'm so hungry and I ran out of food.
The 7 dwarfs had warned Snow White to not open the door to anyone. But Snow White felt sorry for the old woman that came to her door, and so let her in without a doubt.
Please come in. Welcome. Thanks, my child. I got so tired and hungry in the forest. Do you have something to eat?
Yes, of course. I have some soup.
After finishing her soup, the evil queen, disguised as the old woman, offered the poisoned apple to Snow White. The princess took a bite and fell on the floor, falling asleep. The old woman turned back into the evil queen and happily went back to her palace. When the 7 dwarfs who came back from the mine in the evening saw her laying on the floor, they thought that she had died and so were very sad.
We should make her eternal sleep comfortable. Let's make a nice bed for her.
A handsome prince who was walking through the forest heard the 7 dwarfs crying. He got curious and approached them.
Oh my, what's going on here?
He was very surprised when he looked to see who was laying in the crystal bed surrounded by flowers. She was the girl who had been in his dreams for days. The smell of her hair was still all over the forest.
Who is this beautiful girl?
Her name is Snow White. We haven't been able to wake her up.
They told the prince everything that had happened. The prince lifted the crystal cover to give a farewell kiss to the girl of his dreams. He kissed her on the cheek. At that moment, something unexpected happened. The spell broke and a miracle occurred. Snow White opened her eyes and got up in bed. The 7 dwarves and the prince were very happy.
You are the girl of my dreams, Snow White. This is the best day of my life. Will you marry me?
First, I need to find my father and tell him about everything that happened, and also get his blessing.
They went back to the palace and got the king out of the dungeon. The evil queen fled in fear. The prince and Snow White got married and lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, in a faraway land, there lived a king. This king had 12 daughters. All his daughters were incredibly beautiful. The king did not allow them to leave the palace. They were only allowed to walk around the palace gardens. While the king and his daughters carried on with their lives, one morning as his daughters sat at the table for breakfast, he noticed that their shoes were worn out. Although the king was very confused by this, he ordered his servants to buy new shoes for all his 12 daughters. Ever since that day, every morning at breakfast, the king noticed that his daughters' shoes were worn and dirty. The king couldn't put his finger on what was going on. Despite their doors being locked at night, the mystery of the worn-out shoes continued. To solve this, the king came up with a very clever plan.
Soldiers, spread the news across the country. Whoever solves this problem will marry one of my daughters and become king when I die. These young men only have 3 days to find out why my daughter's shoes are worn out every morning.
However, if they can't figure it out, they will be thrown in the dungeon.
The soldiers spread the news across the entire country. Many young men were turning up at the palace gates to solve this mystery. Yet, all of them were falling asleep outside the daughter's room and were being thrown into the dungeon. There was a kind, handsome young man who lived in a village near the palace. He had always liked the king's youngest daughter. The young man had no family except for his grandmother. So they lived together. One day, his grandmother came up with an idea.
Why don't you try your chance at solving this mystery? You always said that you liked the king's youngest daughter.
Until now, hundreds have gone to the palace to try their chance. None of them have succeeded. It will be impossible for me too. Plus, we're very poor. The king will never give his daughter in marriage to me. You must be mad, Grandma.
Nonsense. You do what I say. You will succeed. I'm giving you a magical cloak that belonged to your father. When you wear this, you will become invisible. And one more thing. Do not eat or drink anything from the palace. Good luck, my son.
Although the young man was incredibly amazed by the invisible cloak, he immediately set off to the palace to try his chance. The guards led him to the princess's rooms, just like the others who tried their chance before him. At night, the oldest daughter popped a sleeping pill into a glass of water, left the room, and handed the glass to the young man waiting by the door.
It's hot. You must be thirsty. Here, if you like, I can bring you another glass.
Thank you. Yes, I was incredibly thirsty.
The thirsty young man drank the water and slept all the way till morning. The next day, while waiting, another girl brought a glass of lemonade. Unable to resist, the young man drank this too. He went straight to the room assigned to him and snored the night away. When he woke in the morning, he said,
How stupid I am! How could I believe these girls? My grandma had warned me about not eating or drinking anything. Tonight is my last night. I must succeed.
He went in front of the door again. This time one of the girls wanted to trick him with juice. The young man pretended to drink the juice while the girl watched, but the minute she turned around and entered her room, he poured it into a plant pot. He pretended to sleep, lying next to the plant and snoring.
Go and take a look. Has the boy outside fallen asleep?
One of the girls peeked through the door and checked the young man.
Can't you hear? He's snoring away. It's okay. We are free now.
At midnight, when the young man wore the cloak, he became invisible. He slowly entered the girls' room. The girls were wearing beautiful dresses. They had brushed their hair and were all made up. There was a large mirror in their room. They all stood in front of it. The oldest daughter touched the mirror and blew a kiss. The mirror immediately slid to the side and a door with stairs appeared, leading down to a chamber. The young man watched in shock as the girls, one by one, went down the stairs. Of course, he followed them right away. As he went down the stairs, he accidentally tripped on something, fell and held on tight to the skirt of one of the princesses in front of him.
Oh, what is that? Someone's pulling on my skirt.
There's no one here. You must be imagining things.
They went down hundreds of stairs. Finally, they arrived in a forest. The leaves in the forest were gold, the branches were silver, and the top of the trees were filled with diamonds. As the young man watched in awe, he also took one of each item to keep. He wanted evidence upon his return. They walked and walked down a very long path through the forest. At the end of the road, a lake appeared before them. There were exactly 12 boats waiting for the princesses. While each one of them climbed on the boats, young oarsmen were helping them get in. Finally, the young man jumped into the last boat.
Gosh, this boat is a little heavier than usual today. It's like it's carrying 3 people. Have you gained weight, Princess?
What? A palace decorated with magnificent lights appeared on the opposite shore of the lake. Music could be heard from everywhere. They all entered this palace and began to dance like crazy with their companions. All the glasses in the palace were made of crystal, and all cutlery made of silver. As the young man watched this fantastic event, he wanted to eat a piece of cake and drink some water. He wasn't noticed while he was eating a piece of cake from a golden plate, but was caught while drinking water from the crystal glass.
Oh wow, I can't believe it. Look there, the glass is levitating. It's like someone is drinking water.
Upon hearing these screams, the young man dropped the glass and it shattered into a million pieces.
You're imagining things. We are really tired of dancing. You must have bumped into the glass. Come on, it's almost morning. Let's go back to the palace.
But...
It was time for the girls to return to the palace. The oldest daughter gathered all her sisters. They returned to the palace the same way they came in, with the young man following them at all times. The young man was thrilled to have solved the mystery of the shoes. He immediately appeared before the king.
Your Majesty, I respectfully salute you, Your Highness. I have solved the mystery of why your daughter's shoes are worn out after just one day. Every day, your daughters go to a magical forest, head to a palace, and dance the night away. This is why their shoes are worn out.
The king was shocked at this news and didn't want to believe what he heard.
Today was your last day. How could I know that you're not lying to me in order not to get thrown in the dungeon?
Sir, I have plenty of evidence. A silver tree branch, a gold leaf, a fruit made of diamonds, and a crystal glass.
The king was surprised at what he saw, but was also pleased that the mystery was finally solved. He followed the young man down the path, went to all the places they had been, and saw with his own eyes that the young man was telling the truth.
Yes, you were right. Tell me, which of my daughters do you want to marry?
Your Majesty, if she also accepts, I would like to marry your youngest daughter. And of course, if you see fit.
The young man and the young princess lived happily ever after. The young man also had his grandmother brought to the palace, since he owed her everything. Even though the other girls weren't so pleased with what had happened, they promised that they would never go anywhere again without permission.
Hey guys! Subscribe to our channel KONDOSAN and watch the most popular fairy tales, cartoons, and nursery rhymes. Don't forget to click the bell for notifications.